Hello everyone. Let's review what has happened so far. We have learned how to relax, how to meditate well, and how to do cleaning. What is the purpose behind all these things? After every meditation, we have a typical, very peculiar condition emerging as a result. Don't we like to maintain that spiritual status or inner condition or that lightness that you felt after the meditation, or that you feel so centered within yourself that you like to continue with this state of centeredness within? Let's call it as a meditative state which has emerged out of this meditation. Is it enough that we meditate for a few minutes and enjoy that meditation? Wouldn't it be nice if it can extend beyond these 30, 40, 50 minutes of meditation? It will be wonderful if we can meditate actively daily. But to remain actively meditating versus meditatively remaining active, they are two different things. Often enthusiasts who start spiritual practices, in the beginning they love it so much, and slowly it so happens that we fall in love with such a state and we like to go on extending such a state for a longer period. Otherwise, having earned a spiritual condition and losing it right away would be like, you have your weekly or monthly salaries, and before the second day starts or third day starts, you have blown away all your salary. What will happen to such income? What will happen to such a family? In other words, this scenario with meditative state, what will happen if you go on losing meditative state? It will be a tragedy. You have worked for nothing. So, how to ensure that the meditative state remains to our heart's desire? So recognize that your heart is desiring it, and let's make a willful intention before meditation itself. Let's become more cognizant with this fact that yes, I need to stay in touch with this inner state, and that there is a need for such a thing. So this much of awareness, this much of intention should be good enough to start with. And let's see how it mushrooms and becomes a big, giant thing later on in our life, where meditative state becomes the very nature of us in a more palpable way, see. Now, these intentions of preponing certain states are easily made possible when the inner urge or inner thirst or inner restlessness makes our heart call for something higher. If you are happy with our present state, then there is nothing to worry about. If you are content with your present state, there is nothing to worry about. Then the idea of evolution will fail. If we really want to evolve, expand the consciousness, then I have to keep my goal higher than the present one. The present condition must not satisfy me. present richness doesn't satisfy us. Why should present spiritual state should satisfy us? So what is this inner call? When we offer this voice of the heart to a higher level of consciousness or higher source, or as some system talk about that I am now connected with my inner resources or my inner divine source or the godly agency. Somewhere, somehow we are trying to invoke the higher help. That means I am at a lower state, which is good. We did not feel inferior about it. In fact, more we feel smaller about ourselves. In front of God, better it is. Let us remind ourselves of Lord Jesus' statement that to enter the gates of heaven, one has to become very humble, insignificant, become like little children, not childish though. That sort of innocence, that sort of innocent approach in our prayer, in our inner connectedness will have to be recalled. So now, having established the goal that yes, some higher state is my goal, which of course will change every day. Once you reach a certain higher level of consciousness, that has become your normal state now. But then something higher will be perceived in smaller and subtler doses. You would crave that, yes, I must achieve that state. And after a couple of meditation, you may be able to achieve. Then what happens to that level of consciousness? It becomes normal for you. And again, something higher is inspiring you. It is like always, some higher is calling us. It's like God is always calling us towards Himself. Center is yawning towards itself. Now, having fixed a certain level of goal, we start wondering, what is it that is preventing me? What can prevent me from achieving it? There are so many things in this world. The biggest stumbling block is myself, my ego, that I am so and so. Why should I need this higher state? There you go. Is there a higher state than my present state? Then you have sought yourself in the foot and say, oh, how can I achieve something higher when you don't even become cognizant of its presence because you think yourself so full of certain things? That is out of ego. Secondly, the mundane things in the world that, I have to satisfy this desire, I have to satisfy that desire. And we already talked about certain levels of impressions that we gather, samskaras we call, or karmas we call. Samskaras are nothing but the effects arising out of karmas. The other day we discussed about how samskaras are formed. Newton's law, where it says the actions and reactions are equal and opposite in direction. In the spiritual realm, let's say, for example, someone looks at you or you look at someone and you are attracted. Will the reaction be the same? At emotional level, it can create a tsunami in our heart. Just a single glance can create a tsunami of love. Or at times, certain act can create a tsunami of hatred, of anger. A simple thing becomes so mega. So inner realms don't follow the Newtonian principle. It has its own rules and principles. So samskaras are something, or the impressions are something that belongs to the past that has created my psyche, based on which I react today. If I was not exposed to a certain level of surrounding And if I had not made up my mind in certain ways, then I would not react in that particular way. So, if my heart is clear from all kinds of impressions, then I'll be able to make a fresh, neutral, unbiased reaction to every situation. That is the purpose, the ultimate purpose of all these practices, that I become absolutely beyond these likes and dislikes, beyond these pulls and pushes of the world. I should be able to transcend myself through this inner consciousness, how I react to various situations. But the desires, unlike samskaras, play a different role. Desire is something that has to happen in the future, something I desire to have. It is playing out its part into the future by desiring it in the present. But the samskaras, or the impressions that I have formed and that has created my psyche, belongs to the past. Similarly, what I desire for the future also creates my patterns of psyche, spectrums of psyches are created in my inner realms. So we slowly realize, okay, I cannot change the past. It has already created my psyche, but slowly with this process of cleaning, I'll be able to free myself from it. But desires, which is something in my check, something in my control at the moment, to a large extent, how far should I be fueling this inner desire that can become one day the samskara? So, desire in one way you can call as the future karmas, futuristic karmas. Then once we identify ourselves and say, okay, these are my issues, these are my problems, then do we realize that I should get rid of them or to live with them? Naturally, we like to get rid of them. Sometimes we get so much used to this way of life, we put up with this. It's like a lazy man, even though there is a fire in the house, he is not able to even become aware and want to take a notice of it. He's so lazy. Let the fire go on. But he's going to destroy himself. That sort of laziness is not recommended. It's not desirable. Similarly, inner lethargy towards oneself. This careless attitude that, oh, I'm fine with myself. But look at the people who are so cognizant of day-to-day affairs which happens within. And at every moment, they want to go on changing to become better and better and better. We need to have these three things constantly going on in the mind. What I want, what is blocking me or stopping me from achieving it, and most importantly, what can help me to achieve it. So we submit ourselves to higher forces. You may call whatever names you like. Religions call such an entity as God or the Lord or the divine principle. Psychologically or in spiritual terms, New Age stuff calls it higher level of consciousness, higher self. Call what you may. One fact always remains true, that grosser things cannot appreciate the subtler. Take, for example, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle in physics. He talks about positioning of the electron in its field versus its speed in its field. You may identify its speed, but you may not be in a position to identify its location at the same time. But when you argue thus, You need to identify something even smaller and subtler than the electron to identify these two things, position and the speed. But is there anything like that? Likewise, to appreciate something very subtle, I will have to become even subtler. I cannot remain grosser and try to appreciate something very subtle. It is contradictory. Only subtle can appreciate the grosser beauty, if you might like to call it, or the grosser objects in its full manifestations. One will have to become very subtle inside. And can you imagine the subtlety of the final thing? Subtlety of God, for example, or subtlety of the ultimate. Can I become subtler than that so that I can appreciate divinity or the ultimate? Something to think about. So to my heart, prayer is when heart cries out for such a moment that yes, I'd like to become subtler. I'd like to appreciate and become one with the goal. So each time you achieve something, you become something, that higher thing is already calling you. You attain that, something even greater is awaiting. And this chain goes on and on and on. When we realize this, that I need higher help, the heart cries out very deeply. Such an introspection, the moment of introspection, where one identifies that yes, I need to achieve that, what is my problem, how to get rid of it, and the source of improvement. We call God or the guide. Ultimate guide is always God. The real master of our life is always God. And we say, "Oh Master, my God, Thou art the real goal of human life." We have to recognize this much, that highest principle is the goal of my life. We are yet but slaves of wishes, putting bar to our advancement. Thou art the only God and power to bring us up to that stage. So, with such a simple submission, where we identify three things, here, the most important thing I can understand through these few simple lines, that this prayer or submission is not offered just for myself. It's for us all. We, us, ours. We are yet but slaves of wishes, putting bar to our advancement. Thou art the only God and power to bring us up to that stage. It is no longer about myself. That's the beauty of such a submission. It's no longer a selfish thing that, yes, my Lord, I'd like to achieve this for myself. It's for the entire universe. Then what happens when such a submission is made? I think automatically you will be able to see the magic of God's grace. Something will start descending. Something even more powerful than yogic transmission. Something more intense than pranahuti. I like to call it as grace. We need to invoke this grace. It's like, when there is a storm or typhoon or tornado, Air moves because it moves towards the low pressure zones. When we create the intense inner vacuum in our heart, then grace descends very softly, very gently, automatically. So we need to create that vacuum. How to create that vacuum? Well, evening cleaning is very effective in doing this, in creating such an environment, inner environment becomes purer and simpler. Only with such a simpler and purer heart one can create such a vacuum, such a spiritual vacuum which can be filled only by grace. Generally, we offer prayer just before going to bed and right after we wake up in the morning. Just before going to bed and retiring for good, for next few hours, instead of making this 7, 8, 6 hours of sleep only for physical rest, we like to ensure that we derive spiritual benefit out of such inactive, so-called inactive hours, unproductive hours. No doubt we get physical and mental rest. But there is another element to it where we can have spiritual succor or spiritual nourishment even when we are at sleep. How is it possible? Trigger something in us through prayer that, my Lord, after you finish this prayer, which is just 3-4 lines which you already have made yourself familiar with, at the end of it, you say, all throughout the night, even during my sleep, I will remain connected with the Lord. Or imagine that you are sleeping in the lap of the Lord. Just like when we were children and sleeping in the lap of our mother or father. Feel that comfort in associating yourself with that higher principle, higher entity. Maintain this for a few minutes with a conscious mind, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And by the time, I suppose, most people go to sleep because of the comfort derived out of this sentiment. Also, let there be the inner current of thought that soon as I wake up, I'll meditate and connect myself with still another higher level of consciousness and maintain that during daytime. Finish the evening cleaning that has spoiled my level of consciousness. Regain the inner balance or centeredness that you had earlier. And mingle with family members with joy, with such purity and simplicity. And again at night time, the cycle is completed through prayer. So this is how we can spend our 24 hours while working with our day-to-day affairs, going to work, whatsoever be the work, going to business or going to universities or college or schools, even while paying attention to our professors or lecturers. Have this inner connection established already. Even while doing this daily business affairs or work, or even while cooking for our family. When we remain inwardly in tune with this deeper level of consciousness, I think the whole exercise changes its nature and we derive such a great benefit. In just few months of such a training, I think life can change drastically. I wish you would give it a serious try. You don't need to believe in my words. Just try it for 7 days and see what happens. These few elements of this heartfulness practice. If you liked that you make this approach even simpler, we have this app called Let's Meditate. You can download that on your phone. It will walk you through various elements of this practice. One is relaxation, second is meditation, third is cleaning, and fourth is about how to offer a prayer, how to connect with our inner source, how to connect with the ultimate. We also have heart spots all throughout the world where you can have trainers. You can take the help of trainers. These trainers will not charge anything to learn. You can go to their place of meditation and have group meditation as well, or individual meditation if you like to have individual meditation. And feel this at a deeper level. I hope this is enough for the day. Until then, have a good time. Have a good meditation.